Scorpio and Sagittarius. These two signs, everything I said about Scorpio and the beginning of Scorpio Libra is true for Scorpio and Sag. Sag, on the other hand, is the ruler of the 9th house. Scorpio is on the 8th house, and so Scorpio is in Sagittarius's kind of karmic past. It is like Sagittarius's 12th house sign. You know, Sagittarius will have a bit of an interest and fascination with Scorpio initially, but in terms of consciously being able to relate and embody and to really see Scorpio, it's going to be a real challenge just on the face of these two signs. Again, have to consider the whole chart. The thing with Sagittarius is that they, having kind of escaped that Plutonic cycle of Scorpio, Sagittarius is now free and open, and they chart a course towards different things in their life. And think about their glyph. It's the centaur archer, you know, shooting out the arrow. That arrow, you know, really goes in its own direction. And a Sagittarius person walks literally their own way in life, and they keep doing it, and they'll walk by you until they like find something that they don't want to walk around. Then like they will hyper kind of focus on you and the relationship in those early stages, but over time that arrow is going to keep going. It's going to go through you, and that doesn't mean that Sag is going to drop their partner or throw them to the curb. It just means that for Sagittarius to nurture their purpose, you know, they need to constantly have some novelty and explore other things, and they need to, you know, constantly have something that they're looking at or focusing on or exploring that's not the relationship. Because once the relationship has been kind of like secured and figured out, Sag appreciates having the relationship, but they need someone that knows how to keep themselves busy on their own too. And Sag can be stubborn about that. The way that Sagittarius and Scorpio are going to butt heads is that Scorpio is going to kind of demand more attention. They're going to demand more loyalty, you know, similar to how Scorpio might interact with Libra. Like Scorpio wants Sag to prove something to them. It wants Sag to prove that they are willing to give something up for Scorpio, for the relationship, for love. And Sagittarius doesn't, right? You can't put like an arrow in a box. It's not happy. It's constantly in motion, and that is almost like an insolvable conflict. It's not about deciding how to resolve that or picking who gets to win. It's about figuring out how that can be maintained in the context of the relationship. And Scorpio isn't necessarily super comfortable with having a very kind of independent type partner. Yes, Sagittarius is going to be kind of fascinated in exploring and unpacking Scorpio, especially in the beginning, but after time has gone on, when Scorpio has, you know, kind of more typical water sign needs or, you know, deeply emotional needs, like Sagittarius is a little bit frustrated by having to stop and go back and look and deal with Scorpio. And obviously not all the time, but as a general rule, that you're frustrating that Sagittarius energy. Scorpio, I think, also is going to have challenges sometimes trusting Sagittarius. Sagittarius, you know, there's not inherently anything untrustworthy about them. It's just that, again, they need that independence. And if a Scorpio can understand that need and love it and nurture it and respect it in Sagittarius, like the relationship has a better shot of working. I think one thing Scorpio can remind themselves is that if they're feeling jealous or they're feeling suspicious about Sagittarius, like generally Sagittarius is a sign that is direct, and they are pretty upfront. And so when the relationship is not working or Sagittarius is no longer interested in Scorpio, Sagittarius will usually kind of just say it. Like Sag doesn't feel a need to invest their time and like put their attention in a different direction to like hide something or have this secret life. Like they'll usually just say it. And I think that one thing that Scorpio will notice about Sagittarius is that, you know, there is a certain sense of shallowness about Sagittarius. I wouldn't say that that's generally accurate, but from the perception of Scorpio, Sag's commitment to focusing on one thing. Scorpio is very aware of all the things that Sagittarius is missing, and Sagittarius will not be willing to really accept the wisdom or the 2 cents, or at least the opinion of a Scorpio, because Sag, you kind of have to learn your own lessons, and they're not really going to arrive at personal truth until they discover it themselves. And they're very resistant to someone else telling them, hey, look at this, this is probably what's going on. And that's too bad, because Scorpio, through all their kind of emotional turmoil and all their trial and error, and sometimes even when they can get extremely down on themselves, one thing that is a lever they pull to like really increase that self-confidence and that sense of stability is like, wow, like I have developed all this insight and wisdom, and I have a lot of emotional intelligence, and I can offer people advice, and I can be empathetic. And the fact that Scorpio has this and they have a partner that would never really value that at all, that's really hard for Scorpio to stomach, because it's just like, what is the, like, Sag really shouldn't be with me because they don't even really appreciate my strengths, my gifts. And Sag will, on the other hand, not be thrilled about Scorpio's less than desirable traits, like the jealousy and sometimes the wanting to possess and wanting, you know, reassurance. Scorpio will just see those as, Sagittarius will just see those as weaknesses and not connected to something larger that makes Scorpio really unique. And I don't think I need to spend a lot more time on this. I think that if Scorpio is really good at allowing Sagittarius to go out and explore and is not threatened by that, this can work. And then Sagittarius also really needs to sometimes not be so stubborn and hard-headed, and they need to realize that other people have advice to provide them, and they need to realize that they have blind spots and that other people are there to support them. And being able to kind of share a point of view isn't an indictment of Sagittarius, or isn't an indictment of their competence, or it's not a failure on them. They can accept it. That can help the chances of that pairing.